Welcome back to Chalk Talk. It's been 30 years since Swindon Town gained promotion to the Premier League after beating Leicester City at Wembley Stadium. I'm going to be analysing all the action and key tactical analysis from that game today. Joining me is going to be Swindon Town legend, yes, my old man, Steve White, and we are going to be going through all the key information from the game and having a good reminisce from some real cherished memories, certainly from his point of view, and from all of the Swindon Town fans. How you doing, Dad? All right?
Very well, Joe. Nice to see you.
Good, good. Okay, so we're going to get straight into it and analyse the game. If we just grab this up here. First of all, that picture there, what does that, can you sum up in a few words what that picture means to you?
Well, just fantastic memories, Joe. Obviously, I can see you there in my arms. You brought me over the side of the stadium when we came on to get our medals at the end there, and took you onto the pitch. But just great memories, and it's just the whole team there. You can see the physio and the younger players on the outsides, and really was a great team spirit we had there. And Glenn Hoddle was very much at the forefront of things.
Brilliant, good stuff, great memories. So just moving on to this now. Key stats from the season. I've just got everyone's details up on here. And one of the real interesting things for me was that there were over 7 players that started 35 league games. What's your take on that in terms of how modern day football's working now?
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? And especially in the Championship, which we were at the time. Obviously, I think it's pretty well known. Teams of the past, when there's only 1 or 2 subs, then many teams had 8 or maybe 9 starters in successful teams. And as long as you can go through the season without too many injuries to major key players, then you have a chance. But yeah, I think having the nucleus of the squad there and the 7 or 8 players that played 35 plus games is a massive plus. And of course nowadays, especially at Premier League level, we don't see so much of that at all. And especially with Man City, of course, which have unbelievable rotation, and but they don't weaken their side.
Yeah. So we've got here, Craig Maskell was top scorer that season. He got 23 goals. David Mitchell scored 16. Sean Taylor actually got 13 from centre back. Paul Bowden with 12. Obviously, it was spot kick specialist as well. And you've got 9 there. Obviously, I know you were coming more towards the end of your career here, weren't you? At this stage.
Yeah. I had quite a few substitute appearances that season. We shared it with me, Mitchell, and Maskell, and I think we played about 25, 30 games each. But yeah, I mean, Maskell scored a great goal, didn't he? And Dave Mitchell was a fantastic forward threat with his fantastic pace to hurt behind. So we had a good balance and some very good players in that team.
Good stuff. And so just looking at the league table then, you crept inside the playoffs with Leicester that season. You ended up in 5th position. You were just above them on. You had a better goal difference in the end, and they come 6th. What were your memories of that season? Was it difficult to get in the playoffs? How did that pan out? Well,
you only got to look at the top 2 teams, Newcastle and West Ham. I remember playing them home and away. I can't remember how many points we got from them, but they were enormously tough games and very talented individuals in those 2 ties. And they were obviously much stronger than the rest of the teams there, and that is shown by the points total. But we finished 5th and Leicester 6th, and obviously we went to Tranmere in that 5-4 victory, and Leicester beat Portsmouth. So reversed about there really. 4th and 5th team, you'd think 3rd and 4th team you'd think would go up, but in actual fact the 5th and 6th team were in the final at Wembley.
And Portsmouth obviously had a hell of a season there. They would on level points with West Ham, missed out on goal difference, and then obviously didn't manage to go up. But obviously the excitement of the playoffs, they've been they've been great in the playoffs over the years for helping the mid-table teams still have something to play for, right? Okay, good. And yeah, so that was just before we go into the game analysis then. So Leicester, these are the 2 games that you played against them. So you played them just before Christmas away, and they actually beat you 4-2 up there. 15,000 fans. Hazard scored, Walsh own goal. And then you play them at home towards the end of the season, near the end of April, at home again, 15,000 at the county ground, and drew 1-1. Sean Taylor scoring. So you never actually managed to beat them in the league season.
No, I remember going up there, and I think Johnny Monaco had a tete-a-tete with Dave Oldfield and got quite badly injured. And yeah, it was a very tough game up there. They beat us 4-2, as you say, and 1-1 at home. So they took 4 points off of us. But yeah, I mean, you saw that in the final. You know, it was a close game, although we were 3-0 up. They came back with a surge of those 3 goals in 12 minutes in the second half, and it was just a massive plus to get the victory before extra time.
That's right. So we just come on to that now. So obviously when I do my usual videos, I'm looking at like possession, XG, and shots on target, shots off target. And looking through this earlier, obviously XG wasn't around then. I don't think they counted possession, and I couldn't find anywhere the number of shots on target or anything for either side. So there was no information to go off back then. So I basically wrote down. Luckily, it was a high-scoring game, so you've got the key statistics from the goal scorers, and notably, obviously, you scored just before halftime, just after halftime. You know, really good times to score in terms of psychologically against the opposition.
It's quite amazing that we didn't break their spirit. 42nd minute, 47th minute, just after going out after half time. Massey scored a glorious goal. And then Taylor, Sean put his head in there so bravely to 53rd minute. 3 goals in 9 minutes. That should have broke them, but it didn't.
Yeah, and then you look at their goals, and obviously Joe Chim got one back on 57. But watching it back, I watched the video and the highlights of the goals earlier, and I think that one was maybe a little bit unlucky. Those second 2, Walsh and Thompson, obviously they've scored 3 goals in 12 minutes. It's just such a short space of time to let 3 goals in, especially when we've gone 3-0 up. Those second 2 goals, you've got any rationale for why they might have gone in?
Well, I think there's do you know what? I've only watched the match back a couple of times in the last 30 years, surprisingly. But yeah, I think one of them, I think Glenn marauded upfield a little bit, and when that happened, Ross McLaren always had to sit in for him and cover his tracks. Of course, with his technical ability, Glenn, he could open things up if he moved into midfield. But I think one of the goals was possibly due to the fact that
caught forward a bit.
Yeah, he got caught forward, and we were unbalanced at the back there, and they were coming on strong then. Also, I think they. Walsh obviously up front, you know, they went to try and rescue something from the game and push the big man up front. Sure,
yeah. And that bottom start there, obviously Wembley Stadium, you know, 30 years ago today, 73,802 people there. What was that like to play in, the atmosphere?
Just amazing. You know, this is the second time I was fortunate to play at Wembley twice, but get 30 years of age, or 31, and then 34, and just spine tingling. That's the only way you can describe it, really. And just go out through the tunnel and walk in, you know, onto the pitch with the opposition next to you, and the occasion. You know, it's so easy. It's so easy to be overcome by the occasion, and you know, when it goes to penalties, a lot of these playoff games we're watching now, then you really need some strong nerve. But yeah, it was marvelous occasion on both time, 1990 and 93. You know, a full house, and for a provincial club like Swindon to get there twice, and obviously they won the League Cup in '69. You know, it's just a marvelous achievement.
Brilliant. So we're going to look at the tactics then. Obviously, can you see the lineups right there? Yeah. So we'll just touch on Leicester first, because we're going to focus mainly on Swindon. But obviously, they lined up in their 4-4-2. They're fairly conventional for that period of time in the sort of 80s and 90s. Most teams sort of played that sort of way. Obviously, they got Walsh just off Joe Chim. Believe he was normally a centre half, wasn't he? But he was up front playing off him that day.
Yeah. They changed it around, and they went very long after we were 3-0 up, and tried to hit the long ball. But yeah, he played up front, and Joe Chim pace, very very mobile, hurt him behind, got the first goal, I think, didn't he? From the knockdown and by Walsh. But yeah, you know, just basic formation, 4-4-2, and you know, very astute manager.
Yeah, was it Brian Little?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good career in the game, and as a player at Villa, and also as a manager.
Great. So let's focus on Swindon then. So, in terms of what Glenn came in and implemented when he was at Swindon, he was very ahead of his time, wasn't he? In terms of wanting to try and pass the ball and playing this 3-5-2 formation. And one of the key things for me from looking back and looking at the game, obviously we've got the in possession shape there, and out of possession it would naturally at times have to drop back into a 5-3-2 if you're up against it a bit, but actually potentially that could give you more defensive solidarity. In terms of the midfield three, then I feel that at that stage when most teams were playing 4-4-2 with just two centre midfielders, did you find that really gave you a lot of advantages when you played most teams?
Well, we had, I mean, the forerunner to this, of course, Hoddle had come from Monaco, and I think Wenger, he'd learned a great deal under Wenger at Monaco after he left Tottenham.
Sure.
And, you know, with the amount of technically excellent players we've got there, Maskell, Bowden, Moncur, Ling, Summerby, and Hoddle, of course, then, you know, he wanted to play a passing game. And I think Glenn realised that his legs weren't, you know, he was 34, I think he was at the time. His legs weren't what they were, but he could influence things from the back there, and started many attacks. And of course, the winning goal, he put the through ball. So, you know, he had all the cards in his locker, and we had some great victories last season.
Sure. So the midfield three, as I understand it, that McLaren was normally at the base of that midfield three, but sometimes it could rotate and look a little bit like that if Ling pushed forward a bit. The key thing, I think you've told me before, that the key thing was that he always wanted to emphasise having that triangle in midfield. Is that right? Whether it was like inverted or... Yeah,
absolutely. When McLaren didn't play, if Mickey Hazard played, they had the triangle, and all three, Hazard, Ling and Moncur, were creative forward players, really. And so they had the motto that, you know, there had to be at least one sitting deep if the other two had gone ahead, and or sometimes two sitting deep and the other had gone ahead. But Ling, Moncur and Hazard could open up a can of beans. And but McLaren played most of the games as a sitting midfielder there. Moncur and Ling were then allowed to go forward and with their creative ability, with Bowden on the left and Summerby on the right, who was a very underrated player. Summerby, I think he's got a few England caps, but fantastic athlete and crosser of the ball.
So did you feel in games that when this was implemented and Glenn come to coach this, that did you feel that you were outnumbering teams in midfield when you were able to pass them off the park because of the extra body in that?
Yeah, when we were on top of teams, sometimes we got bullied out of it through the league season, but when we were on top of teams, we knew that you've got 7 or 8 players there that technically could handle the ball, keep possession of the football, not give it away, and that's what Glenn installed in us every day in training. You know, he wanted us to play the passing game, pass and move, triangles, move up the pitch together, and when we were defending up against it, then we could revert to 5-3-2.
Yeah.
And sometimes Mitchell would come a bit deeper, and it would be almost 5-4-1 occasionally. But we had, you can see there, we had an enormous goal threat going forward and technical crossing ability from Bowden and Summerby in wide positions.
So did you work on this in training? Like obviously a lot of modern coaches now, and especially at the
we did.
Did you actually would you line you up on the pitch and you go through this shape?
Absolutely, we worked on shape and passing ball through the field, and you know, overlapping, underlapping. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes Summerby coming off the right hand side if the player was down the left, and but always with McLaren and or whoever else was playing the midfield there as a sitting holder midfield player, especially when Hoddle went ahead of the game. Yeah, so
as you just touched on that. So that's the next point. You spoke about how this would happen sometimes. The interchange. If Hoddle did push forward, then it was McLaren's job just to sit in there, and obviously it gives him the license then to pass where he wants or dribble, to do what he can with his great ability, right?
And also Taylor and Calder would come closer together,
right?
If McLaren was just in front of them,
block up the insides.
Yeah, so he's not as deep as a sweeper as Glenn would be.
No. Okay. Yeah, great. So. And so coming on to that, so Sean and Colin there, the two Sean Taylor and Colin Calder, the two centre halves. Speak about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was his first signing, Glenn, wasn't it? He went in and signed Sean Taylor from Exeter. He's seen him one night down there in a league game and liked him. Technically 6'3", Sean was brave as a lion, head it and kick it. But technically, he was quite good. He always used to get the ball at his feet and able to play the ball to Bowden. Always tried to pass the ball.
And he was left-footed as well. Which helped,
and a lovely chat, a lovely man, and great for team spirit in the dressing room, and absolute gentleman. And we had some great characters in that team, Caldwell as well, and Moncur, funny boy.
All right, we'll come on to that. So yeah, great. So he's brave as a lion, obviously. Sean Taylor, so obviously you see that in the goal he scored, the header.
Some of the headers that he scored from set pieces, corners, and just
incredible,
unbelievable.
Yeah, brilliant. We must touch on Fraser Digby, the goalkeeper, as well. Obviously, he come from Man United, didn't he?
Yeah, Glenn worked a lot with Fraser. I mean, he's 6'3", very dominant in his penalty area for crosses. Gives you that confidence feeling for the defenders when he was going to come and get the ball. But he worked on his talking. I can remember him encouraging him to talk more and be very vocal. Because centre forwards don't like that. If they know the keeper's going to come and get it and crash them out, then sometimes you have a second look. He had to work on his footwork quite a bit, and sometimes Nicky Hammond came in and he was pretty good with his feet. But yeah, Fraser worked on that tremendous lot, and is very much part of the team.
Great. The two wing backs, full back. Well, I mean, sometimes they were very high and wide, weren't they, in this formation? Obviously, Nicky Summerby and Paul Bowden. Their benefits.
Yeah, they operated really, 20, 30 yards either side of the halfway line.
Right.
And, Glenn wanted Paul Bowden to push as far forward as he could when we were in possession, because obviously Taylor could get it to Moncur, who was playing left side midfield, and work a triangle and release Paul Bowden in their half. And with his technical ability to cross the ball on a sixpence, then that was a great outlet and a great source of goals for the team. And Summerby down the other side, he was physically much stronger and a great runner, and also a fantastic cross of the ball, especially when he got to the goal line. And as I said before, he really should have had more caps, I think, for his country. But it's a good team. You've got 7 or 8 players there that are top draw players.
Okay, and so coming on to the centre forwards, obviously you didn't start that game, coming more towards the end of your career, but you've got Mitchell and Maskell up front, obviously, and they scored a good amount of goals that year. Obviously, Maskell to me looks like a really technically good player, able to sort of, receive ball in tight spaces and engineer good opportunities. And Mitchell obviously looks like he's got great pace and is obviously a threat. They seem to be quite a good foil for each other when they play. Yeah,
I think that's a good summing up. And Maskell in the final, of course, he made the first goal for Hoddle and took the ball inside, very cunning.
Sure.
And that little back heel, but a magnificent finish from Hoddle. And that was one of the times, obviously, he ventured forward. And he knew he could, if he given the opportunity around the 18-yard box, he could find the target.
And he caressed that one in, Hoddle, didn't it? It was just a great. And obviously then Maskell went on to score the second, and that was a hell of a finish, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Moncur put him through, didn't he? He stumbled in on that 18-yard line, then he got the final pass to him. But Craig Maskell's first 2 touches were fantastic. Brilliant, first with his right, then he set the ball up, and the strike was a magnificent strike right into the top far corner, and great goal from Maskell.
Yeah, brilliant. So I've just embedded the subs here. Obviously, Hazard, you come on the 78th minute, I think, and Hazard come on in about the 88th minute. We'll just touch on Hazard first. Mickey Hazard, obviously, I know he was coming more towards the end of his career then, like you as well, but he talked to us about him.
Yeah, I mean, technically, both him and Hoddle both brought up Tottenham, White Hart Lane, and where technique is everything. And technically, he was an outstanding player, Mickey Hazard. He could do anything with the ball, and you couldn't get the ball off him when he turned. Great little player. And as I said, he was used sparingly. He didn't play every game, but when he did play, he made a big contribution to the team, and lots of good victories I can remember him being involved in.
Brilliant. And then obviously on to yourself. Like we said, didn't start the game, but obviously come on and won the penalty. We'll come on to that in a minute. What were you think? What was going through your mind before, sort of on the build up to the game? And well, you had an injury, didn't you? You had an ankle injury, is that right?
Yeah, I'd gone over on my ankle, but 10 days beforehand.
10 days?
Yeah, but really, really bad. And Kevin Morris had me in a...
It was a bad one, was it?
Yeah. It was like a tennis ball. Had me in I think it was a Tranmere home game or away game, the away game. And he had me in the ice leg, the yellow leg, for about 10 days. I was in the treatment room every day, just desperately trying to get fit.
So were you when that happened, and you knew how bad? Because I've obviously had ankle injuries before, and they can take a good 2 or 3 weeks.
Were
you thinking to yourself,
yeah,
God, I'm done?
I thought I had it.
Really?
Yeah. Kevin Morris did a fantastic job, and it was a really bad one. I'd gone over it really badly, and but yeah, thankfully I got fit for the final.
Do you have painkillers, injections, or anything?
No, never had injection,
right.
But I wouldn't do that. But yeah, got fit for the final. Got me fit for the final, and hopefully I made some sort of contribution there with the penalty. But I remember after about 5 minutes, I'd been on 5 minutes, I felt my hamstring tweak because I hadn't done much training for the 10 days beforehand. And I had to, and I've never had problems with hamstring, but I knew I had to really be careful because it felt like it was going to go. But yeah.
Were you thinking then? Obviously, they raced into the 3-0 lead. What's your emotions on this? So you're thinking 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 3-0 up. You must be thinking, goodness me, I might get a good amount of time here.
I might get half an hour. But of course, when they came back to 3-1 and 3-2, and don't forget then it was only 2 subs, and so you had to be used as subs sparingly. Very, very seldom did they go on before the 63rd minute, and 78 minutes I came on. But
so when it was 3-3, what were you thinking?
Well, John Gorman was talking to Glenn Hoddle on the pitch. I remember him saying just before then to go and get warmed up, and I'd done a fair bit of warming up and down the pitch, so I knew I was going to be coming on. But of course, when the 3rd goal went in, it was 3-3. We thought, goodness me, this is game on then, and we've got something to do now to rescue this game. But I mean, when you sub at Wembley and you're centre forward, you just hope that you get some minutes on the pitch to be the hero and win the game, if I'm bluntly honest. And so those are my thoughts.
On to that then, this image. I couldn't get a decent one off the internet, a colour one, that wasn't sort of copyrighted or anything.
Well,
but this
sandwich.
This is, I mean, it looks like a penalty there, doesn't it?
Yeah, see his left hand? He caught me with his left hand and spun me around.
So I know you've been asked this a lot, and obviously I've spoken to us about this before, but obviously for people listening, was it a penalty?
No, for sure. No question.
Okay.
As I've said many, many times to people that have asked, if I could have gone round him and slotted the ball in and took the glory, I would have, because I didn't take penalties. I wouldn't want to take penalty at Wembley, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, it was no question it was a penalty. There was contact made. He made contact.
Do you my opinion?
As I said, you can see his left hand.
If I'm being honest, though, I made the most. Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Well,
it was a little.
No,
bit...
I actually couldn't keep my balance. It was that simple. I couldn't keep my balance.
Right.
So, although it looked like I made the most of it,
yeah,
I actually couldn't keep my balance. I couldn't stay on my feet.
And he did right.
Because we were coming together at quite a pace, don't forget.
Yeah, and you said before
I got my head to the ball first. And so I was past him. And I think with when Sean Taylor scored the header, I don't like to use the term bottled it, but I mean the keeper did. Sean Taylor didn't bottle it, did he?
Slow out on that.
Yeah, he should have been quicker.
He was trying to make amends for it.
Maybe he came out quicker, but he didn't. I mean, as a goalkeeper, I think you've got to be fixated on the ball, haven't you?
Sure.
And he wasn't. So
yeah. Well, I reckon the blue players get into the ball before you, though.
No, I was between them.
Do you think?
Yeah, I've seen the rerun only this morning because you said you wanted to do this, and obviously because it's the anniversary, it's up on the internet. But no, I was between the two of them, and I got to the ball first.
Brilliant. Was that obviously Paul Bowden was penalty taker, wasn't he? But was there when you went? Was there any thought in your mind when the whistle was blown? Because I know what I've played football and stuff. If I win a penalty, whether I'm penalty taker or not, I'm not. Well, I want to take it. Was there any?
I don't think Glenn or Zippy Bowden would have allowed me to take the penalty, but because they were always penalty takers, but and they were cleaner.
They were good.
The ball than I was. And to be fair, when you've taken a lot of penalties like they both have, and think you're the more appropriate person to take the penalty.
Yeah, no, that's good, brilliant. There we are, that picture there. So that's my little cameo on the pitch there. Thoughts on that quickly?
Yeah, just brilliant, isn't it, Joe? I think what are you there, 93? Yeah,
3.
you're 3 years of age, and you'd had a couple of health problems, haven't you? And but you're looking bonny lad there. I think I got you on the penalty spot and got you to kick the ball into the net, as I remember. And
did I score?
That's I think you did.
I don't remember that.
There's no keeper there, but we had the sea of red was there, and it was just a glorious day that you never forget.
I mean, I've got, that's probably my earliest memories of football. So like being on the, I remember flashes of the day, and I think being so young, I think probably the biggest thing was how loud it was, and I was a little bit. What's the right word?
Overcome.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I didn't really know quite what was going on, did I?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I took you off your mother over the side of the stadium, and that was a nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah. No, that's right. That'll always live with me, that memory. That's really nice. So we've had a great chat. This picture here, just come back to this again, full circle. So I know we had this up at the start. Again. Do you want to just summarise?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a glorious day, isn't it? I've been lucky enough to play in 5 playoff semi-finals and finals. Won 4 of them. Well, won 3 of them. Champions at Luton when I was there in 1982. That was of the old second division, and had 2 more semi-finals at Hereford and Cardiff. So, it's just a glorious event to get to Wembley. We've just seen the playoffs that have just gone through, and my old team Luton, unbelievably now back in the Premier League. 41 years. We had a reunion recently with Brian Horton and David Moss and all the old players there. 41 years ago, we were promoted there, and that was his champions. And now they go up again this year as through the playoffs. So just an amazing feat for them. So yeah, it's a glorious day, and as we said previously, it gives teams halfway down the league a good chance to push on and try and get into the top 6. And I think it's been a great thing for football.
Do you obviously you just touched on it. You obviously did have the 1 season in the Premier League then, and obviously it didn't end too well. Obviously you got relegated in the end, come bottom. But how was that experience?
Yeah, I played 4 games that year, and lucky enough to go to Manchester United and play there. And it's just it's the place to play, isn't it?
Sure.
I was a championship centre forward. I wasn't good enough to play at the very top level. I didn't have enough pure speed. But just watching these games now and at the very highest level, and it's been elevated. Since Sky came in, and the advent of the Premier League, and the money's there. This is the best league in the world, the Premier League. There's no question about that, and it serves up a great spectacle every weekend, doesn't it?
Brilliant, good stuff. So, if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please drop us a like and subscribe, and I will be back soon. But for now, thank you very much for that, Steve, Dad. Thanks. And it's great to reminisce and talk about that and go through that with you. Obviously, 30 years ago that happened, and some great memories for Swindon Town fans, obviously yourself and for me, and something that will always be remembered.
Yeah, I'm getting older.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.